Ciao everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Superhuman Podcast. I am your host, Renato Capasso, and together we will talk about the latest biohacks and scientific discoveries that will turn you from a human into a superhuman. And it all starts now. Hello, my dear biohacker friend, and welcome to a new episode of the Superhuman Podcast with Dr. Adam Meredith. In this episode, we're going to talk about migraine and how you can mitigate the symptoms of migraine, either if it's chronic for you or not. But hold on in there, because the episode doesn't finish there. We're also going to talk about vagus nerve, very important. I really want you to follow that part. And also brown tissue fat and posture, spine and posture, and much more. We're also going to discuss about an interesting device that has been built from and developed from Dr. Adam Meredith. I won't say anything anymore. Just sit down, relax, and enjoy the episode. First of all, I always ask this question because I know I pronounce everyone's name wrongly. So, Dr. Adam Meredith, am I correct?
Yes, that's right.
Perfect. I got this right at the beginning, because usually my pronunciation with names is always very weird.
That's okay. And also, just to let you know that I retired this year, so technically the term doctor is no longer allowed, but I was a doctor of chiropractic for 20 years. Yeah, I was reading a little bit about you, and you're originally from Adelaide, and you got your degrees there, I think, in human physiology, and then you moved to Sydney to get a master's degree. Is that correct? That is correct.
Perfect. And then in Sydney, everything basically started for you. You started doing...
Yeah, I knew at a very early age I wasn't going to stay in Adelaide. I love Adelaide, but I always wanted to go to the big smoke. So I was always attracted to Sydney. That's great. It's funny enough, like I know a lot of people from Adelaide who moved to Sydney to do great things, or, to push their dreams, or a lot of entrepreneurs that I know from Adelaide. Yeah, it's lovely. I don't bag it, but there's no vibe, that kind of scratchy energy, which I like. Mm-hmm. That's that. Yeah, I've never been to Adelaide. Actually, it's the only city I haven't visited yet, but I'm curious to visit once they open the border and is there again another situation. Yeah, but definitely, I believe there is a lot more going on in Sydney compared to the smaller city. It's a city full of opportunities. Tell me a little bit more about you. So you got your degree in Adelaide. Degree in human physiology. You can't do much with that, and I wanted to be in the healing sphere. So chiropractic was a natural fit. A water skier, and I actually broke my back barefoot water skiing. So that was my first introduction to chiropractic. My back was broken, no nerve damage, just a broken bone. Okay. And I went to a chiro, and they did very little, it seemed, but I had massive relief. So that got me kind of interested in chiro and natural therapies. Okay. You found out about me. I'm very direct in my question, and I'm always curious about. There is this area about the spinal health, right? And there are so many different categories. You got the physiotherapist, or some people say, go to a physiotherapist for your back. Some other people say, go to a chiropractor, not a physiotherapist. And I'm personally very, very confused about it. And I feel a lot of also different perspective and feedbacks and opinion from people about their experience with chiropractors. Some says that it's been one of the best decisions of their lives. Others says that maybe they go and is a quick way to relieve the symptoms, but it's not like a long-term solution. In my personal experience, I've been lucky enough to be with a great chiropractor. For me, it was not just a quick relief of symptoms; it was like a long-term strategy. What's your view about it? You that you've been in the space for so long. We're very much mechanical, functional neurologists. We can change a person's neurology back to normal or optimal through manipulating the spine. So to me, it's one of the pillars of health. You should
have good posture and a good moving spine for life. You can certainly use it for pain relief, but you can also use it to make sure your posture is perfect, which means your spine won't wear out as fast, and it will also work better for you. A lot of people say, hey, look, back pain goes away by itself, and it does. But for the clients where the back pain goes away, they can no longer play soccer with their kids, or they can no longer go to the gym. So I'm all about making it work so you can go back to 100% what you want to do with your body.
That's great. And I'm glad that you touched also, other points, not because people focus just on the spine and on the back pain itself. But apparently there is so much more behind it, and there are so many nerves and so many connections from the spine. So you're not actually just curing your spine and your pain. You're doing way more benefit if you tackle the area. Personally, in my own experience, I've noticed an enormous and noticeable level of increased energy when I fix my posture to a chiropractor. Why? So why is that?
So for one thing, we know that poor posture can significantly decrease the amount of oxygen in your blood. So the very fact that you get your posture fixed and your lung function is better, you're going to have more oxygen and therefore you're going to perform better. It's as simple as that. And the other thing is mechanical pain. So for every inch your head goes forward, it loads up your spine about double. So if you notice when you are forward with poor posture, their muscles are actually working harder and burning more energy to hold that incorrect posture, and that is also tiring.
Fair enough. It makes sort of sense. Is there, and also plus I think over time, and still again correct me if I'm wrong, the disc between the two bones that tends to wear out like faster, I guess.
Yes. Oh yeah, look, and there's no confusion there that poor posture overloads tendons, ligaments, nerves, and muscles, and it wears out your spine faster. And in fact, we X-ray all our new clients. So we've been X-raying clients. We just X-rayed them once on the first visit.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's great. And now the things, the fact that you do X-ray, because you can actually see, with your eyes, especially if you do the before and after, the improvements about the technique. And exactly like you said before, I believe is not a matter you go and the chiropractor does a little bit, of movement and bang, and you've done. Like you said before, it probably it's like diet of exercise. It's not that you go to the gym once and then you are fixed. So I really love that that comparison. I'm actually curious because the main point of the interviews today is because we're going to talk about migraines. But I'm curious on how was that passage between chiropractic and back pain and so on to migraines. Did you add sort of connection?
Oh yeah. So look, a lot of chiros treat migraines very successfully, and we'll talk about it as we go on. But there's three big nerves that are involved in migraines, and one of them is from the neck. So if your migraines are being caused predominantly from a neck issue, you can absolutely help a client. And I did for 12 years I was in practice. I was a chiro for 20 years and on practice for 12. Mm-hmm. In those 12 years, I turned off and helped many migraine sufferers because the neck and the posture does have a big impact on the brain where migraines originate from.
Okay, that's very interesting. Anything before we move forward, like I love to be very when I decided to run the podcast, I really loved the idea of giving people different options, and I always categorize these options in three, like the instant now option, things that they can do just simply with the lifestyle change, and then the other more advanced options. In order, especially for neck pain, which I believe, especially now in a period where everyone is working from home, do you have any suggestions on how to avoid these or how to minimize that sort of nerd neck?
Absolutely. Look, one of the best things you can do is literally every 10 or 15 minutes, 20 at the most, get up and walk around your desk 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Just that simple movement gets the entire body and neurology back to normal, because obviously we're built to walk around on two legs regularly. Do your 10,000 steps a day. I don't care how you do it. If you do it across the day in one, just do it. And every 15, 20 minutes, get up and move around your desk. For sure, this will help you a lot.
Okay.
If you can get a standing desk, that's even better.
Okay, standing desk. Yeah, it's funny enough. Before interviewing you, I've interviewed a girl called Inka Inamon from. I'm not sure if you know but the guys from the Biohacker handbook. They are in Finland, and she suffered from a constant chronic migraine, and she also was mentioning part of the things that you're mentioning, which is great. So there is definitely a pattern there. So I've got impression, and again, I'm just talking about for example, my recent interview with Inka. She had since probably she was 6 or 7, this chronic migraine, and now she was able to relieve the symptoms through a huge series of things that she's doing and protocol and so on. However, in a specific case, and I believe that hers is not the only case, she could never figure out what was the main reason. And usually when people cannot figure out what's the main reason, people tend to say very generally, "Oh, it's genetic."
Yes, that kills me.
Yes, right. And
yes,
and I still know, like, especially exclusively from my network of people, I knew a few people that suffer from migraine constantly, and they do not know the reason. And they've been to their doctors as well, and there is no way apparently to find out the reason. Do you have some insights for those people, or things that they could do to find out the reason why?
Yeah, so the reason migraine's complicated is a disorder of several locations in the brain. And I believe it's a disorder more than, say, a disease. But we do know that about 50% of them have some genetic component which suggests that the energy production in their brain is not as good as other people. So their brain's energy production is lower, and that sets them up for migraines. But there's another area of the migraine brain in the brainstem, which we'll talk about a lot today, which is dysfunctional. And there's other parts of the brain, the cortex, the part of the brain that people think of as the brain, that's also not doing its job. And when those three things come together, the low energy, the brainstem dysfunction, and the cortex dysfunction, well, now you've got a migraine situation ready to happen. So to me, it's a disorder or a syndrome that's of the nervous system in multiple parts. And because it presents in so many different ways, some people have auras, some people have dizziness, some people vomit, some people don't. It's kind of complicated, and that reflects the various parts of the brain which are not working in these people.
Okay. From those symptoms, from those different symptoms, like you mentioned, nausea or actual pain and so on, can you have like a sort of clue on which of the different reasons that you just mentioned could be? Or,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the symptoms relate to the part of the brain that's not working. Okay. So if you get aura, it's part of the back of the brain is having issues. If you get this dizziness, it's part of the ear and the ear nerves that are in trouble. So, definitely they correlate for sure.
Okay, that's great. And what do you reckon would be the first step if people have very light symptoms of, for example, dizziness or nausea? For example, that's another category. A lot of people tend to have nausea and dizziness very often. Some people within reason when they go on a boat or when they read their phone on the car. Some other people that just get it so randomly. What would be the first things that you would tell those people to do?
So if you're getting any symptoms, and I'm a chiropractor, so I believe that the body is very well built, and when things go wrong with the body, that's when you get symptoms, rather than it's just genetics and we're poorly put together. I just don't think we could survive in Africa as cave people if we weren't incredibly strong, fit, vibrant, robust mammals, right? So when things are starting to go wrong, the first thing is your health is way too important to give over to somebody else. Always do your own research. We've got Google now, we've got forums now, and you can learn a lot about your condition. Mm-hmm. And I would always go natural route before I ever went down the medical route.
Okay.
But if you've got symptoms and they're migraines, I would say start a good chiropractor.
Okay, perfect. Are you still operating as a chiropractor, or your clinic is still?
Yeah, so both my clinics operate, and they've been going for 20 years. And I was a chiro for 12, and then I did other businesses in the healthcare industry whilst my clinics were run. So we've got 6 chiros that work in my group.
Oh, that's great. Anything in Sydney by any chance?
Yeah, so Crow's Nest and North Sydney is where my 2 practices are.
Ah, perfect. Okay, so very close. I'm recording from Sydney as well, from Little Bay, but a lot of people who are listening are from Sydney, and I know that at least a few of them that I know them personally, they will come and visit you.
Brilliant. What's really funny is my name's Adam, and the Crow's Nest is Adam, and the chiropractor in North Sydney is also Adam. So there's Adams everywhere.
So funny. I'm very curious now because I know you have, and I got it here with me, and thank you for sending this over. So you have founded something called the Migraine Stopper.
Yes.
Which is a device that helps relieve the symptoms of migraine. But I'm very curious to know what's the logic behind it, and how does he help people with migraine relieve the symptoms?
Absolutely. So, it's actually a class 1 medical device. So, it's listed with the TGA. And I've been using it for 5 years in both the clinics on our patients. So we've got 5 years of testing. I remember before I said there's 3 major nerves involved. Well, yes. One's from the neck, and chiropractic is great from that. But the other 2 are from the brain. So they're actually called cranial nerves. So they're from the brain, and one's the trigeminal nerve and the vagus nerve. And both these nerves are very well known to be involved in migraine. So there's stacks of research on the trigeminal nerve and the vagus nerve. The Migraine Stopper happens to stimulate both those.
Hey there, I'm going to quickly interrupt today's show because Dr. Adam Meredith has been very kind and is offering a 5% discount to all those who are interested to purchase the Migraine Stopper device. To claim the discount, you simply have to go to themigrainestopper.com, and once you make your purchase, in the voucher section, you can write Renato 5. You can write Renato 5 to claim your 5% discount. Enjoy.
Nerves for the effect of stopping or reducing migraine pain and symptoms. So it's what they call a neuromodulation device. It's a device that stimulates nerves for a therapeutic outcome. And what's really cool about the Migraine Stopper is it does both the trigeminal and the vagus at the same time. It's one of the very few devices that does that.
Can I ask you something? Can I open a bracket and then close it, and then we go back to the migraine? Just because you mentioned the vagus nerve, totally kind of unrelated, but probably you may know the answer because I'm personally doing some studies about it. Fluoride and the effect of vagus nerve. Do you know anything?
So I don't drink tap water anymore because my research on fluoride says it's very bad for you at many levels. But I haven't studied it specifically on the vagus nerve, so I couldn't comment.
Okay, no problem. Any water filtration systems that you may want to recommend? Because that's a big topic for me recently.
Sorry, what was the question?
Any water filtration systems that you feel to recommend?
So I don't even do that. I exclusively drink Icelandic water. I import it. I get it from Dan Murphy's. And I essentially 95% of what I consume is that. And the only time I don't consume it is because I love coffees and teas at cafes. Mm-hmm. But 95% of what I consume is Icelandic water.
I personally use something called Zero Water Filter. And is a filter that apparently removes most of the fluoride and so on. Sorry for the question. I just was curious. It's a question that I ask everyone when we kind of go around the topic of fluoride and
anything that can clear your water is good. And my shower has a filter. I forget which brand it is, but my shower has a filter to catch as much of the garbage that's in the water. I think to call it water is a big term as well. I'll call it liquid, but as far as calling it water, I don't think it's water anymore.
I agree, and like I said, some of the filters, right? They write to a list of the things that are filtered in the water, and this list goes from 30 to 60, 70 chemicals up. So that means there are at least 30 different chemicals in, like you called it before, in the liquid, and is very scary. And for sure they have anything as an effect on you. And water, considering that is we can't live without water for more than 2-3 days.
100%.
Optimizing your water and making sure that what you drink is clean from chemicals can only do some good. Sorry for the bracket. I want to go back to the Migraine Stopper, which I have here with me. Here we go. I've got it here with me. So it's got. He has a little valve just on the top. So just for people who are listening, you basically you can describe would you like to describe it? Because for sure you will do a better job than me in doing so.
So here's mine. Okay. So basically it's an ear pump. Okay, and it's designed to put positive and negative air pressure into your ear to actually gently move the eardrum and actually the ear canal. And the reason we want to do that is the trigeminal and the vagus nerve, which are well known to help with migraines, you can actually stimulate impulses along those nerves by doing this technique.
Okay.
And when you do that, it can directly calm down the parts of the brain that are involved in the migraine. So migraine is a brain over-processing disorder. Okay. The information that doesn't cause a migraine in you and me and should not does cause a migraine in them because their brain overreacts to the information. So by putting the ear pump in and stimulating those two nerves, you calm down the over-information and that calms down the migraine and can actually turn it off.
Wow. That's something I can definitely, because I tried it. First of all, question, because I tried it without having a migraine, just because I was curious to see what was happening in the ear canal and so on. Am I doing any harm if I don't have migraine? Okay.
It's like getting a massage when you're not sore. It's still going to be a benefit for you. It will normalize, so it's completely safe. In fact, as a preventative, my migraine patients pump their ears daily, Monday to Friday, as a preventative. So you can definitely pop it in your ear. You'll actually stimulate your vagus nerve. You might actually feel a little calm or sleepy afterwards.
That's exactly what I wanted to tell you. So I tried it. I tried it as soon as you sent it to me, and then a couple of times afterwards. But I tried it seriously for a little bit more time yesterday, and I slept like a baby. So I don't know if that was connecting with this or.
It's a vagal nerve stimulator. And we know that the vagus nerve is rest and digest. So it should make you feel calm. So my secretary had a migraine yesterday. Now, she hasn't had a migraine for 2.5 years because she was one of our first patients, right? And that was with the old prototypes that were hand-built. So she hasn't had a migraine for 2.5 years. She had one yesterday while she was at work. She popped in the Migraine Stopper, and I said, "How do you feel?" She said, "Oh, it's fixed it. There's only one side effect." I said, "What?" She goes, "I really would like to keep pumping it and just fall asleep." And that's the nerve. That's what she had to stay awake with clients. But vagal nerve stimulation is a huge, scope, and everyone needs to stimulate their vagus nerve through laughing, singing, getting a hug, meditating, or cold water. All these things will stimulate your vagus nerve, and we need that in our society.
That's definitely about it. That's why I've got so excited when I heard from you that the device stimulates the vagus nerve. And that last comment opens all sort of questions from me. But before we jump there, because I like to people and myself included to know what to expect and to know if they're using these correctly. By the way, I know that you post all sort of guidance and contents on your website about it, but what I was feeling when I was using it was a sort of pumping.
100%, Renato. Once you've got the suction right,
Okay.
you know the machine's working.
Okay.
So it doesn't take that long to get it, but it's undeniable when it sucks. All my patients' eyes go the size of saucers. Like, you've got to get that suction sensation, and then once you do, you're good to go. But for people that are listening and who might purchase it, you don't have to do the full suction. Any suction that you can tolerate comfortable is working. It's not as if twice as hard is twice as better. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
If you have that suction in that ear, which is undeniable once you get it, then you are now treating your vagus and trigeminal nerves.
Okay. Yeah, I'm personally doing it. When I started, I was doing a full pump for people, like a full pump. But then, at least for me personally, I'm doing a gentle one. So there is a suction, but it wasn't pain on anything, but it just feels more, like you said before, it feels like a very nice massage on it just feels very nice, like it's addictive.
Yeah, most people will say it feels like a massage or a scratch in the ear that you can't get to. And yes, it's addictive because your brain immediately realizes it as a calming, and we all want to be calm.
Definitely. So for those people who have, not sure if that's your area, but for those people, I have a dear friend who has problem with their hair. Can they use it, or people who have like?
Yeah, look, it's the only like real contraindication. So first of all, if you had any ear surgery or head trauma or that, you don't use until you're healthy. And a small percentage, so probably less than 1%, can't tolerate in their ear because of some underlying ear condition. And unfortunately, those people can't use it. But it's a very small percentage.
Yeah.
One of the things that's frustrating about migraines is a thing called allodynia, which means the normal sensations are perceived as painful. So I'm fairly confident that a lot of those people that can't use it in their ear because it feels too intense is allodynia. So it's not really intense in physical terms, but in their altered neurology and the way they perceive it, it is too intense. And that's really unfortunate that exists. So definitely if it causes ear discomfort after a couple of goes, unfortunately, probably contraindicated. But that's not the case for most people. Most people can tolerate it fine. Okay,
that's good. Well, I can tell you, I definitely tolerated it fine and was very, very good and relaxing for me. We share maybe at the end of the episode where people can find more about the device and about the technology and so on, because I know on your website you just talk extensively about it. But I'm now curious, based on your comment before on the vagus nerve. Of course, this device can definitely help, but people can do all sort of stuff to stimulate the vagus nerve. And you were mentioning a couple before. Would you like to go a little bit into more details?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a rest and digest nerve, right? So you really do want it to be activated. And a lot of people get confused. The more it's activated, the more you relax, okay? It was just a bit counterintuitive that you want to stimulate it for relaxation.
Okay.
And like I said before, humming, singing, laughing, okay, having good friends around you, meditation are all fantastic ways to do it. And anyone that trains their mind to have a positive outlook or acceptance, meditation, this is all fantastic. But a really powerful way to do it is actually cold water, which again is counterintuitive because when you go into cold water, you kind of get a shock. But after that shock, it will really, really calm down your vagus nerve. It's very powerful. So you can go full body immersion, which is what I did. So I actually have a freezer on my house.
Okay.
It's full of water and I can fit into it. I'm 6 foot before, right? I can fit into it and float. That's extreme. But even if you just have cold showers or cold water on your face, these things will actually stimulate your vagus nerves, and that will help you generally with your health, and it will help with migraines as well.
That's great. I know a lot of people. I've actually was pondering and considering buying like a big chest freezer to do the same.
Yes.
For those who don't want to buy a big chest freezer, I'd like to mention like a clinic. It's not a clinic; it's like a center. It's called Zero in Health, which is in
Yes.
Leichhardt in Sydney,
Yeah.
and every Saturday I think he does the water immersion, the cold immersion in water. But for people who don't want to do the immersions and they want to start, let's say with a cold shower. I mean, now in Sydney it's winter, so the water is slightly colder, so it's the perfect time to do so. Is there a specific, of course, the whole body, but is there a specific trigger point where to put like the
So definitely, obviously full body, but I always say let it hit your face.
Okay.
And the back of your neck.
Okay.
And the front of your neck.
Okay.
Okay, they're the best things because you've actually got that brown adipose tissue there, which is the brown tissue, which is fat, and it's brown because there's a lot of mitochondria in it, and it's also very good for you to have lots of brown fat. So you can actually activate it by doing that. But definitely for vagus nerve, face and body for sure.
Perfect. Yeah, it's very interesting. I knew about the brown fat probably at the back of the neck. We call therapy at the back of the nerve. You can activate this brown fat, which is the good one. It kind of releases also stem cell productions and can help slightly accelerate your base metabolic rate for those people who want to lose weight and so on. So definitely good things to activate brown tissue fat and then in the front for the vagus nerve. So again, I'm going to go again in the vagus nerve. So what's the main, I guess, job or role of the vagus nerve in the human body?
So it's very complicated. So it's called the vagus, which means the wanderer. So it goes from your brain all the way down to your colon and passes all the organs, heart and everything, right? So it's a very vital, but they generally classify as rest and digest.
Okay.
So digestion and the calming down the body. And rest means recuperation and restoration. So, you've got your sympathetic nervous system, that's fight, flight, and fright. And then you've got your parasympathetic, which is relax, digest, and that's of course the vagus nerve.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I know we live in a world where we activate too much the fight or flight. Yeah, is that the sympathetic one? Yeah,
100%. And people have to remember that their gut and their brain are connected via the vagus nerve. So that's why gut issues can affect your brain, and your brain can affect your gut. So if you're anxious and you feel your stomach churning, or you feel like you might be getting diarrhea, this is the vagus nerve being activated incorrectly.
Wow. Okay, that's very, very interesting. Yeah, I love the connection between brain and gut, and I love also I'll say new, but it's not new anymore. The science behind the brain-blood connection. Like now is a fact, and we know it, but it kind of gives a line of hope to all those people. Like depressed people with depression, people with anxiety and so on, which again a few years ago, 10-15 years ago, used to be things like, oh, I'm a naturally anxious person, I'm a naturally like person who suffer from depression. Those things can be fixed, and more than often those can be either related to a gut issue or to a chemical issue overall.
I totally agree. So I was born very optimistic. I came out very optimistic. I ran 6 businesses. I built them all myself. I had a lot of energy. I developed gut issues in 2013, and I lost my mind. I went crazy. And my parents and my friends and family were like, your personality's changed. And I was morose and dark. And once I fixed my gut, I came back to normal. So for me personally, the gut and the brain are obviously intimately linked. And I agree with you, Renato. I think there's a lot of people with anxiety and depression that it's coming from bad guts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say is there is one thing. So I'll try all sort of biohacks. Like yesterday I did the NAD infusion. I'll try all sort of things.
Yep.
But if there is one thing, if someone will come to me and say, okay, you have one thing to choose to fix, I'll definitely choose the gut, because that would be my best shot to fix everything else.
I agree.
and bloating and everything. So that's very, very powerful. What did you, I know that's a question that can be answered like in a short manner, but what do you reckon was your main cause of your gut issues, and what did you do to approach that?
So I think it was just good old-fashioned burnout after being entrepreneurial and building and staff and businesses, and I just think it was good old-fashioned burnout, and it's like a domino effect. One small thing you can deal, but it knocks another domino, and then all of a sudden they all fall over. So I actually woke up one day feeling horrible and realized I had no body hair. So that was I'm like, where's my body hair? And my body hair all fell out. Like I was smooth like a baby all over. And from that, it was gut issues because I bloated a lot. And that got me into biohacking. I was already medically trained, but that really got me into biohacking. The number one thing that fixed me, bar none, with no close second, and the close second was very beneficial, but bar none, was ice baths. Bar none. It literally turned the ship around for me.
Really? So that has an effect also on your gut?
Ice baths are amazing. So if you really drill down to why it works, it's incredible. So they call it cold thermogenesis, which is, again, a paradox. How can cold generate heat?
Yeah.
And that's what cold thermogenesis means. And so what happens is your body produces infrared. That's why you're warm. And the main infrared is the mitochondria. And as soon as you get into biohacking, mitochondria comes up a lot, right?
Definitely.
Because the mitochondria supply basically all the energy of your body. So, and they produce heat. So when you hop into an ice bath, they sense that it's cold and they start to produce more heat. And in very simple terms, the act of producing more heat in the cold makes the mitochondria work better and makes them produce more energy. So I was able to get more energy in those ice baths, and that energy was then now usable to fix myself.
That's amazing. I just want to add one thing, because I know there are a lot of people, and that was one of those that things, those days when you really don't want to do anything and you have little motivation to do stuff, and you blame yourself, I must do this, and everything just seems more difficult. Everyone has those days. Some has a little bit more, some others. It's not you. Is more, sometimes can be you. I mean, I don't deny that, but more often is connected with energy level.
I 100% agree with you. 100% agree. Look, you can't become the number one mammal on this planet, which we are. And we were competing with lions and tigers there for a while, right?
Definitely.
And we dominated by being depressed, anxious, and lethargic. We are an absolute powerhouse. We are a very vibrant creature, and our energy systems are thwarted by modern day society. And have you noticed, Renato, with all the biohacks, all they really are doing is mimicking a natural life when we were cave people? All of them.
Definitely. Look, I think if it wasn't called biohack and yet another name like alternative health, or it could have any other name, the term biohack is genius because it kind of get the interest on people, but all it is just health at the pure state, like fixing the health issues of an individual from the root causes of it by doing by just not having the approach of here's the symptoms, here's a drug. So the name itself is genius, and like you said, all it does is just brings the human body to what it's just capable to do naturally.
Correct. So most diseases are a mismatch between our genes and our environment. And biohacks recognizes what the genes were supposed to do and then adds a hack to it to make sure that the genes are now operating in the environment that they were designed to. So we were not designed to sit all day. We're clearly designed to walk. So walking is a biohack. We are supposed to experience extremes of heat and cold. We don't do that anymore. So, saunas and cold baths are just putting back into a cold and hot environment. Fasting is a biohack because we're genetically designed to fast. So it's all from a mismatch of these wonderful genes that are designed to thrive in the wild that are all of a sudden put into a domestic situation. Our genes are just not designed for the life that we're in.
100%. I believe that. And if you think about it, like the modern world and modern society since the big industrial revolution is just a few hundred years. And
of course,
evolution takes thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. So our genes are more adapted to the caveman than the normal period. So like you said, anything that can kind of stimulate or activate that that kind of old lifestyle that we used to have can have only a positive impact. Plus,
100%.
on top of that, we live in a world, and people really need to realize that I can't stress enough. So we think, and we do for a certain extent, like we live a better quality life, better food, and so on. However, 90% of the food that you buy at the supermarket is packed with pesticides and chemicals that your body has to work, so energy to drain from.
Of course.
The water, we just talked about it before. The air, the radiations, and we don't get enough energy from the soils anymore because we put plastic insulated shoes. So all this together, very compound, and especially over the years. So sometimes we forget that. We forget that we need that. That exposure to cold and warm, like almost instantaneously. We need that clean water. We need that clean food, and all those sort of things that we talked about. So yeah, it's great, and it's very, very interesting. Do you have any other? So you are there is way more about you than just I say just, but it's already it's not just chiro and migraines. You do all sort of stuff, and you are a biohacker at the pure state. And allow me to say, like you look great, and I can I can tell when some people are doing something right from their look. But when I say their look, it's not just the external look. It's even I can tell you get energy and you got passion, and now you're talking and you want to share things. Then that's great. That's how we are supposed to be. So when a person, especially a person I'm interviewing, ticks all these boxes, I immediately think, okay, they're doing something right. So I want to know what they're doing. So on top of all the things that you already shared, do you have any other, let's say, biohacks or tips or tricks that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I got lots. Look, if you have to do one thing, you've got to own your morning.
Okay.
You must own your morning, which means you've got to wake up in a very dark room with no light in it, preferably cold.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to get up, and as soon as you can, you've got to go outside into natural light. And that will start your whole circadian rhythm. And once your circadian rhythm is working, you will find a lot of things get better. Maybe not 100%, but there will be a definite, I actually feel better. And that's the thing with biohacks.
Mm-hmm.
The biohacks, you should very quickly start to feel like you're moving towards health. So if I only could do one thing, it would be to get up and to go outside with no shoes on, preferably no shirt, and it doesn't matter if it's overcast or sunny, and get at least 10 or 15 minutes of sunlight on my face, through my eyes, and on my body. That would be the most important thing to do, because that starts the whole melatonin production, which is the sleep hormone that you need to release at night to have a good night's sleep. How do you know if you're in circadian rhythm? You wake up around about sunrise in a dark room with no clock, because your body does actually tell time. It actually has a physical clock in each of its cells to tell you what time it is, and those clocks only know what time it is because of sunlight.
That's true. That's amazing. But unfortunately, like I have the now after so many years, I have the luxury of I don't put my alarm clock anymore, and I kind of figure out what's my circadian rhythm. I tend to be more a late night sleeper and waking up a little bit later. But some people, unfortunately, they don't have the luxury. They need to have an alarm clock, and they need to wake up at a certain time. So if so that's something they probably cannot control. But what they can control, like you said, is just rather than, being half an hour, 40 minutes in the house making coffee, what they can control is the going out side of things.
Yes. Look, I would say modern day, I get 9 to 5. I get, I've got a son, I get kids, I get mortgages, I get it all. But it's so important. I would tell people to set their alarm clock for 6 o'clock every day, regardless of how tired they are, and go out and watch the sunrise, the early morning sun, because it's got that nice red light. There's no UV light. It's all infrared light. And get that going. And then at night, they must block blue light.
I love that. Let me take a screenshot. Keep them on. I love you. Okay, I'm gonna send you this screenshot. You look a bit like Dave Asprey with those glasses on.
So he's popularized a lot of good biohacks over the years. But if you can just get morning sunlight and you can block blue light at night, and don't forget blue light comes from anything that's man-made is too much blue light. So TVs, phones, laptops, and actual lighting is all blue light. Unfortunately, blue light registers on the back of your eye with a protein called melanopsin, and that melanopsin tells your brain what time it is. Unfortunately, blue light tells your brain it's lunchtime. So you could be 9 o'clock at night and your brain thinks it's lunchtime, and the whole circadian rhythm is thrown off. And think how important it is. You look at someone sleeping versus someone up and talking. Their physiology is very different, right? One's not moving, snoring and dribbling, and one's up and animated. The amount of changes that you have to go through to get those cycles correct is immense. Thousands of different things have to go in order. And if you can get the bookend right, morning sunlight, and block all light as soon as the sun goes down, you will start to reset your circadian rhythm. I get all my patients to do that, and particularly migraine patients. So this is the two things I would do. Own your morning, block all blue light. It's a very, very good start.
That's great, and I totally agree with you. Getting sun exposure, especially in the morning, and like you said, preferably without a t-shirt and so on, because actually your skin absorbs the retina, so no glasses on, and your skin. So the more your skin is exposed, the more you absorb.
It's amazing. So this photopigment melanopsin that was in the retina, they've only just realized in 2017 is in your skin. So your skin is involved in the circadian rhythm and your eye is involved. So yeah, definitely no contacts, no glasses, no sunglasses. Just go outside and let that light hit you in the face. That's
amazing. And one thing that I want to point out for people, especially for sleep, because sleep is such a big thing right now. It can do it's involving so many reactions within the body, and it affects so many things. And so many people are actually having trouble to sleep. But for those people who are still sleeping, and I might think, oh, I'm okay, I sleep like a baby anyway. There is a difference between sleeping in your bed with your eyes closed, sort of unconscious, to having a very good, restful night's sleep. Because some people can fall asleep, but still having a disrupted REM sleep or deep sleep cycle.
Of course. So I ask my patients, do you sleep well? They go, I sleep really well. I say, do you get up to go to the toilet at like 2 or 3 in the morning? They go, yeah, always. You're not sleeping well. You're not supposed to get up and go to the toilet at 3 a.m. And I have other people say, yeah, I sleep really well. I say, when you wake up, are you crystal clear and feel like you could do 20 push-ups? They're like, oh, no, man, I don't drag myself out of it. You're supposed to wake up and be extremely alert. So you get this little cortisol spike, and that wakes you up, and you should be as alert as anything. And of course, most people are not. So I put it to most people that they don't sleep well, even though they might say that they do. If you actually question them, the moment you're waking up to the toilet, you're not. The moment that you don't feel alive and just calm but alert, then you're not sleeping well.
100%. Once as well, people they start going through their journey towards health, they can realize it even more. Because some people, unfortunately, and I was one of those, and I think you were one of those as well, they were so used to the continuous pain or the continuous migraine or the continuous like not sleeping well, that it becomes the new normal. So once you get really talking about sleep, like a very good restful nice sleep, once you don't have one, you really notice the difference.
100%, mate. People just forget what feeling good is supposed to feel like, and they forget what normal energies are like, for sure. We are an energetic, curious, mobile monkey, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wow. So thank you very much. Still call you Dr. Adam because you're still a doctor. You're not retired yet. So thank you. I really loved this, and allow me to say I loved your energy, and I can tell you're very passionate about the topic, and you love you love sharing and so on. So I literally love the energy, and but I know that some people will ask me how can they find out a little bit more about you and the stuff that you do. So would you like maybe to how can people reach out to you?
Yep, so the best thing to do is just Google Migraine Stopper.
Okay.
And I'll come up, and my site is themigrainestopper.com. And I also have a 1300 number, and I'm happy to talk to people about migraines or biohacking. It's all good. And they can call me or email me. And that's the best way to get on to me. But if you've got migraines, definitely Google Migraine Stopper and check it out. The Migraine Stopper is only $249, and that's a one-off cost. So if it works for you, you don't need to buy another device ever. And if it doesn't work for you, within 90 days, you can just email me that it's not working, send it back, and you get a full refund, which is exactly how I was when I was a practitioner. If you came to me, Renato, and I couldn't help you, I would send you off to someone that could help you, and I wouldn't charge you for the initial consultation. It's the same thing. If it doesn't work, you have to send it back. So there's no risk. And you know what, man? It works. Most of my patients have a good effect from either stopping off the migraines or greatly diminishing them so they can still continue to work. And then if you're not responding very well, which is the minority, there are some biohacks, the ones that we talked about, that if you add those, you're way more likely to get a response from the Migraine Stopper as well.
Yeah, definitely. They can be compounding, right? If you do more than one things together. Well, I can definitely tell. For me, without using it, without having the migraine, it definitely had an effect on me. And for me, I love things that gives you an almost instant, something that you can notice almost instantly and right away or in a short period of time. And for me, it had an effect. In my case, a relaxation effect because I didn't have migraine.
Yes. Well, it's a nerve stimulator, so nerves you should feel very quickly, right? Because that's how the information is relayed. So most people feel an effect very quickly.
No, that's great. That's amazing. And I'm also going to share in the show notes some links and so on. I'm probably going to be in touch with you still. Like if you want to add anything in the show notes, a lot of people that follow me loves reading those. I was taking notes as we were talking because there were so many things that were new for me. So guys, just search on Google Migraine Stopper or check the show notes. We got we'll add all the links in there. I really want to thank you. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and like I said, I love the energy, and we'll definitely be I'll definitely be in touch because I love being in touch with fellow biohackers, especially if they're around the Sydney area. So you still live in Sydney, or you moved?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, in North Sydney. No, definitely hit me up, and I got to say congratulations for having the balls to do a podcast and to spread it. The world's changed now, right? Everything's disruptive. Everything's open in the Western world. We've got Google, and we actually need people like you to interview anyone on health matters because health is too important to hand over to somebody else. You have to own it yourself, and you have to live healthy.
No, thank you very much. People who know me, they know my story. I've been and I always put disclaimers before and after the podcast of consult your physician and so on, because it's something that we have to do. But I had my own personal experience where I was failed by the conventional medical system. And again, there are so many great doctors out there. I don't want to say that they're all bad, but in my own experience, I personally was failed. And long story short, I was nearly anemic. I lost probably half of my hair. Like I was losing all my hair, including body hair, but also I went through burnout and so on. And all I knew, and the circulatory problems. All I knew the answer was either it's genetic, or I was given a pill to pop up for a certain period, or even worse, like forever, until I decided to, you know what, it's my body, and if something tells me what to do, I at least want to have a general understanding of what's working and what's not. And I do marketing now, like I have an agency, I do marketing, digital marketing and SEO, but my background is actually in biotechnology. So I used to study biotechnology, and which I'm still involved with in Italy. We do some very cool stuff in terms of research in Italy. But then I moved towards marketing. So I kind of got these two things doing together. But this is for saying that my background in biotechnology allowed me to just go and understand. I literally went on PubMed and read all the studies related to my issues, and they were mind-blowing. Once I read the things that I read, I said, why doctors are not just telling me to do that? And the things that I learned and applied from just the PubMed study had way more of an effect that those pills that have been given to me. So your health is your health, and definitely consult a professional, but it doesn't hurt to know a little bit more about it.
So they found melanostin in the skin in 2017. Doctors probably won't be taught that you're going to meet in their clinics maybe for another 10 or 15 years. So the process is very slow. But the great thing is we've got Google and we've got people like you, which are doing podcasts to talk to people that are mucking around with biohacking. So that's where I put, like you, my story is very similar. I put all my energy into podcasts and Google and PubMed. And you don't have to understand all the science. Just what were they trying to prove? What did they do? And what was the outcome?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's it.
And to be honest, most of the stuff are very, very, like you said, very simple. A cold shower is not going to hurt you. Being grounded on the rocks, on the grass, is not going to hurt you. So especially those things, they are basic stuff, and they should be not even called a bio. They should be a lifestyle, which we have lost towards the years. So yeah, thank you very much for your nice words. Like, I'm very excited that to be honest, I feel privileged to do so, because I get to ask things that I literally, when I run a podcast, you saw, like, I start with a few topics where I'm curious about, and then based on the answer of the person I interview, I get curious and I just ask questions upon questions upon questions. So I feel it like a privilege. Those are questions that I will ask anyway if I sit down with you at a cafe, just because I'm naturally curious. Then I feel privileged to be asking these questions to people like you. So it's definitely great. Dr. Adam, thank you very much. I'll be definitely in touch for more.
Yeah, if you're local, we'll go do a coffee, man, and talk about biohacking. I can talk about it for hours.
Absolutely. I need to show you that place, Zero in Health, in Leichhardt. You will love it. It's so far the only biohacking hub that I found in Sydney. Yeah.
Let's look it up.
No problem. We will. Thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for your time, mate. Chat later.
Ciao.
Hey there, thanks for listening. Before we conclude, I'd like to remind you something very, very important. This episode, as well as this podcast in general, is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Listeners should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have. Please, if you have any medical condition, consult your physician first. Disclaimer given, I would love for you to subscribe to this podcast and to leave me a review. That will help me a lot. We're just starting out. We have already a lot of great interviews down the line, which you don't want to miss. So hit the subscribe button so you will get notification for the next exciting episode. I'll see you next time.
Hey there! If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. In fact, I'm recording this from your phone right now. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.